Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared, and today I'm going to be doing a short review of Octavia Butler's Parable of the Talents. So, in a projected near future novel, an author always takes a risk that they may live to see the timeline they are writing about. Butler didn't quite make it, unfortunately, but she came close. The danger in this is, of course, that you are like way off the mark and your writings and speculations just seem ridiculous. I think Butler would despair in seeing just how close we've come to realizing her dystopian vision. But I also think she'd breathe a big sigh of relief at what we haven't done yet. um, this is the second book in the Earth Seed Duology. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a non-spoiler review, and I'm not going to inadvertently give things away from the first book, which is called Parable of the Sower. And I generally hope to keep any spoilers to none or minimum at best. Either way, I don't think what I have to say is going to ruin anything at all for this marvelous book. This second book begins close to where the first one left off. Maybe a few years difference, I think. But we're immediately given a fresh point of view. The first book was all first person from the character Lauren's point of view. But this book we start off with a new fresh point, and this new point of view is a bit jarring because it doesn't quite fit with the original POV that we were used to in Parable of the Sower. This new look begins each chapter with commentary that at times feels contentious, maybe some bitterness, and a little biased. It doesn't paint Lauren in the best light that we've grown used to from the first book. And Lauren, of course, has been very critical of herself in her writings from Sower, and she was still the protagonist, and still had a healthy sense of self and the rightness in what she was doing. This new POV we get in here places blame, which is kind of new, and I think was kind of a brilliant tactic by Butler to give the reader a new twist. We do quickly get back into Lauren's writings, but now we have a harsh critic of her choices going forward. And so it was really interesting to have that contradiction going in here, and I found it fascinating. The legacy of Lauren's upbringing continues to be a major factor in her writings. We saw that in the first book, and that continues on here. She couches her teachings in the style of parables, and this is a direct influence of her father. And Butler uses these parables to kind of frame the action and give us little clues to the upcoming narrative. That's all similar to the first book. In this book, Butler's thematic vision includes the ability of people to overcome adversity, to form a community and a sense of place to the displaced. This being a dystopian novel, it should come as no surprise that this idealistic and idyllic outlook does not last. Horrible things happen in this book. Really horrible things. Butler pulls no punches and gives the reader some of the most horrific scenes I've ever read. Yeah. This isn't like horror in a traditional sense. It's the horror of knowing that what people are capable of doing to each other, they will do under the right circumstances. And it's a horror knowing that under the right circumstances, others will turn a blind eye. And yeah, that's scary because that's history. It has happened, and it could happen again. It probably will, unfortunately. So because this is a parable, and it's the beginnings of a religion. Religion is a big topic thematically in here. Butler does not hold back with her views on current organized religions. Through Lauren, she skewers the status quo, specifically focusing on the Christian right in their theology. It would be easy to say she was prescient with her words based upon current events, but I assure you that the views she's railing against were quite prevalent at the time this was written in 1998. Um, Science fiction has always been a commentary on the times it is written in, and rightfully so. And it's a good vehicle for that. You may be concerned that some of the views she points out are more worrisome maybe today than back then. You may be right, but you also may be just more sensitive to the current atmosphere because you're in it. Um, you know, these anyway, these social situations fuel Lauren's drive to make Earth Seed greater. Her drive to do this also empowers her enemies to take harsh measures to stop her. And this is the driving conflict in this book, and it's really powerful. I got to tell you, um, the last third of the book does seem a bit rushed, and some of the narrative is left without resolution. I heard we had heard rumors that there was a third book that was supposed to be done in this series that never got written. So you wonder if that played into some of the decisions towards the end. But believe me, it wasn't a negative for my enjoyment of the story at all. Butler's prose is fantastic. She really knows how to pull the reader into the story through the letters of her characters. The engagement engendered by this style is second to none, and Butler uses it to maximum effect. So trust me, you want to pick up this book, um, and you want to pick up the first one and read that as well. It's also truly fantastic. And then if you read the first one, do not miss out on reading the second one. You will, you will get a lot out of it, and and if you're familiar with her prose from the first one, it, it's just as fantastic and just keeps going in this second book. So, all told, excellent book. Parable of the Talents, Octavia Butler. Go ahead and you have my recommendation. All right. With all that said, please be good to each other, and thank you.